Hi everyone, I'm Jane from the Business of Food, and every week or so we've been bringing you one of our community members that are sharing their stories. And this week I'd like to introduce you to someone that is a new connection of ours, very new connection of ours, um, called Rebecca from DigiSeed. Hi Rebecca,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
No problems. And thanks to Lee Bidorovsky of Lee Bird Photography for introducing us.
Yeah.
Um, so, Rebecca, today's topic was of real interest to our community because with the ever changing times, we've noticed that there's been a lot of conversations about marketing in general. But social media, as you know, the coal face for most of us to marketing, has been really interesting and challenging to navigate at the moment. It's really hard to know how much we should be sharing with people and whether it's, right to say negative things and share, what else we're going through. So I thought I'd bring you on board, one, to introduce you to the rest of the group, but two, to have that conversation about how social media has changed in these interesting times. And then I think you've got some tips and hints and some other things to share. So we might move on to that.
Okay, great. Okay, so in terms of social media and how things have been changing, I suppose, over the last couple of months, I think it's been just an interesting thing that I've seen through my business, just even in terms of like as soon as things started to sort of shut down or people started to get a bit worried, I saw a lot of my clients starting to get freaked out, I suppose, about not wanting to spend money on marketing and not wanting to do social media, as they sort of felt like, oh, maybe that's a bit of a nice to have but not essential for their businesses. And then over probably a month after everyone sort of came out of a bit of shock and went, okay, how am I going to move on? What am I going to do with my business? People started to realize actually social media might actually be one of the more important ways that I can reach out to people and start to tell them about what I'm actually up to, what I'm doing to help my business grow and not die, because I found a lot of businesses did actually, after the initial freak out of like, what are we going to do? My market isn't online. My market is more face to face. For instance, like some wholesale food companies or even restaurants that were not really doing takeaway, or catering companies, things like that, had to start to, I hate to use the word pivot, but they had to think of other ways to make money and maybe get online, start doing deliveries, or start reaching out to people one-to-one. And the best way to do that was really through social media, to let people know what they were up to and actually start using social media more in a social way to actually tell people, hey, I'm out here, this is what I'm doing, this is how I can help you, those kind of things. And so I think, yeah, whilst things were put on hold for a little bit of time, that people have started to realise how important it is to actually use social media and reach out to people and connect.
Yeah, I think we saw the devastation of the hospitality industry in that month because they didn't really have a way to connect with their audience except through their bricks and mortar, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So then you started to see people who, yeah, generally were just relying on potentially word of mouth or traditional ways of marketing, maybe through brochures, things like that, or online menus. They had to move quickly, and the best way to really be able to do those things quickly is through Instagram or Facebook, maybe running some Facebook ads that just allow you to really target your demographics and get in front of the right people quickly, and to be able to say, hey, now I'm actually doing takeaways rather than, yes, I can't have people into my restaurants now, but these are some offers that I can put out right here, right now, and really get out into front of the people that that are in my neighborhood or things like that, or yeah, wholesale companies that would never have done face-to-face before can suddenly say, I'm actually going to be providing weekly meals to people and things like that they couldn't do before. And actually, connect with people and start talking to them and finding out what people actually want and need, and those sort of things that you can really find out on social media that that people didn't need to before, and now all of a sudden it's a lot more important to make sure that you know what it is that people are looking for.
What it is that people are looking for, but also where those people are coming from. Because if you're suddenly offering something to your locals, you've got to understand who those locals are. If you've previously drawn your customers from far away, then you're never going to be able to deliver food to them, for example. But knowing who those customers are, I think, is the real challenge, especially on social media, because social media is so broad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, just in answer to your question about like how has social media changed, I guess even just the way that I found that a lot of my clients before March, we'd scheduled a whole bunch of posts. Things were written in a certain way, or maybe it was a little bit more salesy potentially, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, we have to scrap, we have to talk in a different way. Things need to be more personal and a lot more sensitive to a lot of people suddenly either went out of business or were struggling, and the messaging and the way that we were talking had to change like straight away. And I think that, that's definitely still the case, that even though some things are opening up, especially in Victoria, they're not, or a lot of people who thought they would be opening up this week are not. And so we've just got to be so careful about the way we talk and how we can relate to people, because people are still struggling, and it's really about being a bit more empathetic and actually listening to people and actually thinking about what it is that we say, rather than having just maybe some blanket quotes or things that probably don't resonate so well right now. So yeah, the message, everything's changed all of a sudden.
That's a really interesting point you brought up about listening, because I was on another call this morning that I mentioned to you, and it was about marketing, and one of the guys came up with a definition for marketing that said marketing is the art of answering your customers' queries. So if you take that to the next level, it is actually about listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess given how quickly you put together a post and it's up, it's about really like thinking today, what is it that people need to hear, and we can't plan so far ahead, definitely at the moment, but taking advantage of that as well. So actually thinking about what it is people need to hear today, how can we help them, and what do they need to hear from me, and what do I need to be telling them to help grow my business as well. So it's just by using social media, I guess it's about being a lot quicker than putting an ad in a magazine or putting a billboard up or things like that, because you're actually really able to, there's no lead time, you can just get your message out there straight away.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just take a step back and tell us how you got into the social media scene, because I know you have a lot more skills than just social media, right?
Yeah, so I started off actually as a web developer. And was building a lot of websites for people, and then it would go up and people would say, well, hang on, how do I actually get traffic to my website, or how do I actually make money from this? So I started branching out and doing social media to help people start generating traffic to their website and actually start getting business that way. And then now I probably do more digital marketing rather than actual website development. So it's more about helping people get traffic to their websites and start generating business and finding the right customers for them, basically.
Of course. And as we were chatting before, and as that came up then, it was, having a strategy to engage your customers, but in what way and with what tools, right?
Yes, exactly. So basically, rather than saying, here you go, here's your website and off you go, it was, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to attract the customers to you? And what do they need to hear from you, and what content can we produce that will entice them and get them to know who you are and why they want to work with you? So yeah, it's like as we were saying before as well, like helping them put together some ideas for content that can be reused across. So maybe we come up with some ideas on some blog articles and things that they can use on their website, and then using those for social media, and then to help them lead them back to the website where they'll then find out a little bit more about them, and maybe get their contact details and follow up in that way.
Yeah. It's all kind of tied together, right? So but it comes down to the simple fact of knowing who your customer is, knowing what their problem is, and knowing that your solution actually solves that problem for them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I
It's
guess
interesting it's interesting how it all comes back to that. So we've spoken to a web developer, we've spoken to a graphic designer, we've spoken to a marketing person. That's like the cornerstone of the whole business.
Yeah, and I guess, and all of those people and all the way that they all come together is by putting together, like actually stepping back and thinking about the strategy of what you're trying to achieve through your website or through your graphics or through your photography, through your marketing, and they all really come together and they all work together rather than one separately or individual requirements or so it's like when you're any part of this, I guess, marketing now or whenever, it's about putting together the strategy and thinking about what you're trying to achieve through doing all those things.
So if someone was to come to you and say, I need some help engaging my customers and driving traffic to my website, what's the first question you ask them?
I guess probably the first question would be, well, who is your ideal client that you're trying to attract? Because even in the social media, a small piece of the marketing puzzle, there's so many different platforms and different ways that you can interact with people. So depending on who your ideal customer is, whether it's, I suppose, wholesale, retail, a big business, a small business, the different platforms and the ages of the people that you're trying to attract and things like that, that will help you decide the best place to spend your time doing marketing. Because if you've got like a young audience, they might all be on TikTok or Snapchat or something like that, and a bit older it'll be a bit more Instagram, Facebook. So yeah, you don't want to be wasting time on a platform that your ideal audience aren't there, because they're not going to see you anyway. So even just stepping back and figuring out who it is that you're trying to target.
Yeah, and I suppose the second question you'd probably ask them is, what do you want them to do once you've found them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you want them to do, and what are you trying to provide to them, and what are you trying to actually market? Because a lot of people do have a whole bunch of different things that they're doing, and I guess it's thinking about, okay, with this marketing exercise, what do we want to achieve, and what are we trying to promote? Because we can't do everything at the same time. Especially when, like, if we're going to do some sort of advertising, we want to try and focus on one area at a time and one demographics at a time, because we want to make sure the imagery matches the person that we're trying to attract, and the words talk to them, and so we've got to really break it down into what we're trying to achieve and who we're trying to talk to.
Yeah, we see it a lot in our food retail area, because people say, well, anyone can eat my food, and I'm going, yeah, but unless you've got a huge marketing budget, you can't market to everyone. So, pick the first 10 customers that are going to come to you that you don't know.
Yeah.
So they're not family, they're not friends. The first 10 customers that will buy your product that you don't know is your starting market.
Yeah. And I guess it's that whole, obviously if everybody would eat it, that'd be amazing. But who ideally, like, who you're really trying to target? Yes, everyone makes sense, but realistically, it's like if you actually start thinking about, are they a certain age and maybe a certain gender, and they shop at these type of stores, and they work in these type of areas, and you can really, like, especially with your imagery and things in an ad, you can really so that they can look at that and go, oh, that's me, and that they're attracted to it. So if it was too broad, then everybody would think that you're talking to somebody else, so you're sort of talking to no one. So and if you do want to target everyone, you're right, like the budget would just be so massive, and you can have a different imagery for each different type of person and a different target. But yeah, you've got to think about who's the most likely to buy and who's the most likely that you're trying to attract.
Yeah, yeah. I think the person with the biggest challenge is probably the brand developer of a startup business with a startup products, and because I just think that's smoke and mirrors, as Claire knows of Blade. I don't know how she comes up with, the imagery that's going to attract such a broad target.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when did you get into business, Rebecca?
So I guess I've been in different sort of technology type of jobs for 20 years.
Yeah.
And when I was at uni, there actually wasn't even, like, most people didn't even have the internet. So it was a while ago. Yeah. And so I was more learning about like the development side of things and business analysis and those kind of things. And then worked in various jobs in lots of different companies doing various IT roles, and then went out on business by myself about 4 years ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so it's sort of been kind of quick, but I guess building up to it for a long time.
Right.
And I guess also given that when I started off at university, there was no internet. So I've sort of seen it from the beginning and seen how things have changed and how marketing's changed. And then now it just feels like it's constantly changing, like all the time, new features introduced and new ways of marketing and new ways of getting in front of people. So it's really a matter of being on top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's why a lot of people are looking to you for guidance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that I don't want to be on TikTok and talking to 15-year-olds, but they're not likely to have the money they need to start a food business, although some of them have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember when TikTok came out and they were saying, oh, it's the next big thing, and I was like, no way. But then randomly you just see people starting to put out some videos, and like a lot of celebrities are getting involved, and things just change so quickly that, like, things that you would never have thought of, that, like, why would anyone do this, or how's this going to be helpful? And then over time it's like people just find different ways to showcase their business, and like through video or through funny filters and like all these different things that that's constantly coming out and changing the way people think and the way people use a phone and all of those kind of things. So it is just really evolving all the time. And it's about, again, like if your target audience is quite young, then it's like, well, then you want to be there, just because when they're surfing and doing whatever they do, that you want to be there. Yeah. And get in front of them. And especially if it's, I guess it's a product that they would be attracted to, then just having some sort of presence there. Then it's getting in front of that right audience.
It's been interesting to watch TikTok, actually, because they integrate with Instagram, don't they?
Well, yeah, you can like make a video on TikTok and then put it up on Instagram. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the food businesses that I've seen, that I follow, that have been in business for quite a while, and they're not I hope they don't pick who I'm talking about, but they're not particularly young, shall we say that, and either in the business or the person or the business founder. So it's interesting to see how they're using it, and they are saying they're getting a lot of engagement. It would be really interesting to see if that engagement actually turns into what they wanted from it in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, but some of the time, like, because again, like I was thinking, these are all 15-year-olds on the platform or whatever, but they do influence. They'll also be like, hey, I want to try out this product, or I want to do this. And so they've got some influence over their family a little bit as well. So it just really depends what products it is. And I guess even just some of the videos are so funny, and they just like to get that engagement, and then just get people going, who are these people? I want to follow them and see what's going on. And any way to get people to follow, and then you're not trying to sell them all the time, but just to get them involved and engaged, and then eventually just sort of having that brand awareness that people start to recognize the name, and they see it out there and then go and check it out.
Yeah. So you think it follows on to the one person in the household that actually goes to the supermarket and then recognises the
Probably,
brand
yeah,
that the 15-year-old is talking about?
exactly, yeah.
Oh,
I know what happens in
interesting.
my house, definitely. Yeah,
Oh, truly?
yeah,
Okay.
yep,
We don't have
unfortunately.
kids, so
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
it's interesting to see the influence kids have on their parents and on their buying habits, and it's
yeah,
fascinating. We spoke to Melissa of Bonbo, and she's all about collecting data and understanding your customer, and you know um, converting that data into real things that you can use.
yeah, absolutely.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so, DigiSeed, why did you call it DigiSeed?
I guess it's digital technology that's like we plant something and then it grows. So you
Yeah,
plant an idea or yeah, planting ideas and then growing a business through things that you implement digitally. It's a bit
yeah.
roundabout way of yeah.
I can see that. I'm fascinated by the way people actually name their businesses because we've been through a name change. So,
Ah,
and that was quite painful in that we had a reputation under My Other Kitchen, and then suddenly it changed to the business of food, even though it kind of explained more what we did.
yeah,
But taking that reputation management through a name change, really,
absolutely. And
mm,
making sure people know that it's the same but rebranded and
same but different.
refreshed. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's I think it goes towards the messaging that we had in the first one because
Yeah,
that then didn't carry on into the second one.
yeah.
And I
So how
think
long ago did you
messaging
do that?
about 2.5 years ago, 3 years
Okay.
ago maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the two running simultaneously for a while,
Uh-huh.
but it didn't make sense when we didn't have a kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of a
Yeah.
fundamental thing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Rebecca, you've done a bit of a tips and hints cheat sheet for us, haven't you?
Yeah, so I put together, I guess on what we're saying, in terms of like new functionality and new technology. I mean, it's not so new anymore, but I put together a sheet on how to use Instagram stories in your
Good.
business, because Instagram stories actually helps a lot with getting some engagement on Instagram, and it's a way that a lot of people are now interacting with Instagram. So whilst they are looking on people's feeds and looking at some of their old posts, it's just a really quick way of consuming a lot of content. And but it's still like this one of these things of like, how do I do it? What do I do? There's so many like cute little stickers and videos and different Q&A and questionnaires that you can do and all things like that. So I put together a sheet on just a few little things that you can do just to help you get a little bit of engagement on Instagram stories and have a bit of a play with it.
Fantastic. Do you want to run through a couple of those things now, like the top two that you suggest?
Well, it was more like I put together like how to do a little so let's say you wanted to say so where's your favorite place in Melbourne, or where's your favorite restaurant, and then do a little poll. And so you can create a little poll and get people to like put some answers, and it just creates a bit of engagement and back and forth, and have a bit of fun with people who are following you. And you can do little things like little cartoony things just to get
Oh
that
yeah.
little bit of engagement and yeah, just a bit of interest in your feed, so that people start going, oh, who is this person? And then they'll just go check out your feed and start following you and getting some interaction that way.
Oh, fantastic. Because, those little practical tips and hints can make all the difference to how you feel about social media as well. Because
Yeah.
I don't know about everyone else, but I get bored just, putting up the same old stuff and talking about the same thing. Once you've been in business for 12 years, it's like, okay, so what's new? I have to always be looking outside of us to get the things that are coming through.
Exactly. And just, yeah, having a bit of fun and just a way for other people to get to know you as well. So you can use the stories to even put like a little video of you talking or all those kind of things, and just helps with a bit of, yeah, just engagement, and people get to know your brand and your business a bit better.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to look forward to that and playing with Instagram because Instagram is my nemesis at the moment. I can't, I just can't figure it out really. So
Yeah.
and I'm not even sure it's right for me, but whatever. I
Yeah.
persevere.
Just have some fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, Rebecca, and thanks for sharing all of your stories and your tips. And we look forward to interacting with you a little bit more.
Great. Thank you.
That's all right. No worries.
See
Thanks,
you.
everyone. We'll see you next
Bye.
week. Bye.